Hello World Doll Day friends, this is Michael Canadas with the Grovian Doll Museum and Carmel Doll Shop. Welcome to our Christmas celebration upstairs, downstairs. In the next feature, we are going to visit the Rock and Graner doll rooms. If you've ever been to this museum, our boutique museum, you'd have to get down practically on your knees to see this item. But since it's the holidays and it fits with this theme, we thought, why not bring this treasure out and air it out and give it a chance to be where you can see it standing straight up. So I'm going to move out of the way and I'm going to introduce you to one of our treasures, one of our favorite things, which is this room box set. Now the theme is upstairs, downstairs. Obviously this is one level, so there's really no stairs, but you have to use your imagination and pretend. This would be in the 19th century, this would absolutely be the realm of the upstairs people, the fancy people. What is remarkable about this room box is that it has the original wallpaper, we believe, the original parquet floors, trims, wall covering, window treatments, etc. And the other exciting feature in this establishment is that there's over 40 pieces of Rock and Graner furniture. And those of you that are not familiar with this type of dollhouse furniture, it is basically tin, like a tin plate, the very same thing that tin cans once upon a time were made of. And in the Industrial Revolution, this company was very well established, and by 1813 they were making dollhouse furniture besides other toy items. What they did is they took a humble tin plate, designed it, and then put a paint finish on it to resemble the most luxurious woods of the time, which were your mahoganies. Which mahogany, if you're not familiar with it, it came from the Philippines, so it had to be imported into Europe, and it was very, very prized. And the more beautiful grains it had, the more prized it was for cabinet makers, as we called them then. So let's take a look at, we're going to start with the ladies' salon. And we get to name it. I think it appears to me to be a ladies' salon because it has a little knitting here. So this is the domain of the ladies. They're getting ready for the holiday time of year. And of course, the reason they have their work is because even if you were an upper class lady, you couldn't be idle. You couldn't just be sitting. You had to do your knitting, needlepoint, etc. This room box has a very interesting provenance, and that is that it belonged to the DuPont girls of the famous industrialists, like DuPont brings good things to life and all of that. They were actually, there's a lot of parallels between this company that made this furniture and that company, which ultimately the girls bought the pieces. So we've got kind of classic mid-19th century pieces, the bloom-back chairs, the settee, and then we have things that I think are a little older style-wise. I think we'd call this in America federal, but we could also call it neoclassic, etc. Now it has very good early porcelain pieces like this, what we call Paris porcelain tea set, and some very good figural pieces. This is a really outstanding miniature that has also a a miniature of a lady, but or young girl, excuse me, holding a doll, which is kind of fun. And then we have this lithophane, which was meant to be held up to the light. Here it's using natural light from the window, but it could also, a candle could illuminate that. There are also pieces in the room boxes that are not tin, but actually soft metal. And in the future, David will be doing a program for all of you on outstanding soft metal pieces, because we have, right now, we're very, very grateful as miniaturists that there are people that are doing research and writing books on things like soft metal pieces. And we will put a link to those in this video so that you know where to find these great research pieces. But another thing I think that's really special is the fruit, which is all little miniature porcelain pieces. And, you know, that really brightens up a room. And then there's Earnhardt and Sohn gilded pieces. So there's really many German companies represented in these in these candlelit rooms. So I think that we're going to go next to the dining room, because the party's been going on a while and the candles are burning down, and that could be tragic. So here we are set up for a informal dinner, because it's all buffet style, and that would be in the 19th century considered informal. But the food is of extraordinary quality. And again, all of the platters and things are soft metal. They are not the tin. As I was dusting this off and getting it ready for you, I noticed that the maid has not been doing her work on the tablecloth. So that is going to have to get a little cleaning. And what we will use to clean that is a little bit of Dawn dishwashing soap and hydrogen peroxide, and that will take off those little stains. They're like little wine stains, miniature wine stains. And here you have a lot of special, the tin pieces. We have a banquet table, which are very hard to get. That's one piece banquet table. And then we have the full set of 6 Rococo Revival chairs with the original paint. And they're pretty, you know, you have to work hard to get all of that together. And then we have our server. This would be called a server. We call it a buffet in America, but it's really a server. So that would mean service would come off of that. So they could put dishes when displaying the dishes for decorative purposes, but they'd also put foods and drinks and things. And then we have your self-service decanter set, which is in the soft metal, but it's perched on the Rock and Graner dolphin pedestals, excuse me. Took me a minute there to get it. And then I would be remiss to not point out the wonderful settee. That is a beautiful quality, the original paint, which is nice. And then a corner piece. I find sometimes corner pieces in real life are hard to fit in, but it seems in miniature they work perfect. And that's a really nice piece with some outstanding porcelain fruits fairly early. And I believe that they are meant to emulate wax fruit, because that was a really important decorative item in the 19th century. And then I should point out our people. We obviously have an officer in full regalia, and amazing design, and again, they're hard to get, but they add a lot of pizzazz to a room. But then we have our lady over here, who's clearly a housekeeper. She's in somber clothes, but they are outstanding. And the housekeeper, along with the butler, were really running the show. And I guess the party's over in this room because the candles are burning out. But before we leave this room, I want to point out the wine holder, which I think is just absolutely amazing, and it's in remarkable condition. And clearly the mirrors are original to the rooms because it has the matching papers in the construction. And I believe that the drapes and the cornices, all of that is also original. But I love also pairs. We have pairs of 2 buffets, and I noticed that I am a little remiss because there are no items displayed in that. And another thing I noticed is this is really a house. It's not a home because I don't see any cats, no dogs. So that'll give me something to look forward this next year. So now we're going to go into the nursery. And I don't know that this always started out as a nursery. But before I get to the important part of the nursery, I'm going to just go over, the wonderful 1,000-star paper, which is in the pink and gold motif, which I think is really charming. But and the good thing about pulling things out like this, I can see that we've got nail holes here and here with nothing on them. So they look to be quite old. So that means I have more shopping to do. This could be a bell pull. This could be another religious picture over the bed. This could be another picture. We have a beautiful rocking cradle, and it appears to have fantastic original dressing to it. An adorable sewing table. So the nanny, which that's this lady here, and this, in the world of upstairs, downstairs, the nanny is between worlds. You wouldn't come from a low class to be a nanny. You would be of a higher class, but you would be a higher class lady that's kind of down on her luck. Maybe she wasn't married off properly. I know that sounds very cruel, but that was the world that they lived in. So the nanny would use this table, which would be her sewing table. So in between taking care of the babies, she would do her needlework. We have a secrétaire à bâton, which is, I'll see if I can get it to open. No, it's, oh yeah, there you go. And that's how they would open. And, made from the 1800 to probably about 1865, 70. So that's a nice early piece. A wardrobe. Remember historic houses. It would be very, very unusual to have what we would call a built-in closet. They didn't really exist. Once in a while you have them, very rare. Those of you that are following our Gay Gardens series, we have closets, but they're not what would be acceptable today. So the wardrobe was a very important piece of furniture. Correspondence, you didn't have emails, you didn't have texts, you didn't have telephones. You communicated by writing letters. So there's a place to write your letters. And of course, chamber pot. We're in the mid-19th century. Yes, there was some forms of indoor plumbing, but not at the level that we expect. So a chamber pot would be used, and then that unfortunate maid would have to empty them. And then we have twin beds. There is no real standard size bed in the 19th century. People made their own mattresses, their own sheets, etc. But I want to point out one of the added add-ons to the house. we were lucky to find these two babies, and they didn't really fit in anything else we were doing. And then one day I thought, they would look great in this this ensemble. At the time, I was kind of bothered by the white bedding, even though I know that in the 19th century and 18th century and 17th century, white bedding and white linens and cottons were very, very important. The whiter it was, the better. And then I thought these babies could break up the color. And then one day we were here having an event on Queen Victoria's dolls, which we were one of the first to do that. And I watched the presentation and I realized, wait a minute, our little Regency babies are the same type of doll, which they are. So I found this in my files, and this is from 1985, and this is showing 7 of Queen Victoria's royal rag babies, and they are minuscule and tiny, and it is believed that Princess Victoria herself dressed these, and they're very naively dressed. They don't have bodies; they just have their upper body, and what I think is fascinating, they look so much like a Colombian. They've got a very cute little sweet face, and that makes you realize a cute, beautiful, sweet face is immortal. It was the same in 1819, 1825 to 1895 to today. And then what I also think is interesting is our little baby. I'm not going to say ours is better than hers, but ours has beautiful blonde lace, which I'm sure was a scrap, as all of the Princess Victoria's dolls were little scraps. And I should show you this the other one. And again, no bodies. There was a lot of speculation of whether they actually, Princess Victoria and her governess, Baroness Lazen, made these. But clearly, since we have some, and there are other collectors that have these were commercially purchased. So the other thing I want to point out is the rugs in the house we added. So I'm an avid collector of little decorative, you could say that there were little runners and various things to go in parlors in the 19th century, but they really help a miniature world pop. It doesn't matter that, in real life we wouldn't walk on beads. We have to use our imagination. And that's the fun part of collecting. And even though this came with 90% of the items with it, it's still fun to add. And the strange thing is, I can't remember what happened yesterday, but I can remember if I added something to the room, where it came from, the special time, and that's the beauty of collecting. So I hope you're enjoying your time with World Doll Day, and there's more to come, friends. So we will be back later. Bye-bye. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.